Now that we have our file with our outfit and the avatar open, we can now begin by creating the pleated dress the way we talked about. But before we do that, just going to select all the patterns that we have already created with our transform pattern tool. Right click and select freeze, and this way I am going to situate their position, so that way we don't have to worry about them changing their position while I am simulating other pieces of clothing. And I am also going to move the patterns to the right, so they won't bother me as I create the pleated dress over the silhouette. So firstly, we are going to start by grabbing our rectangle tool and clicking once. We get the dialog box and we are going to input the width to 130 and the height to something small like 55 and hit OK. And this is actually going to be a part of our waistband, and we are going to start off by splitting its upper and bottom line with the edit pattern tool. So we did this in the previous clip. Now with selecting edit pattern tool, just click on the line, right click and select split. Select the uniform split and number of segment is 3 and hit OK. Do the same thing with the bottom line, right click, split and uniform split 3 and hit OK. Now we are also going to put some internal lines in here. We are gonna use our polygon internal tool for this and just connect this dot. There we go. Alright, so as I said, this is going to be part of our waistband, and now we are actually going to continue to creating the pleated part, and we are going to do this by simply copying this and pasting it 3 times. So select it, Ctrl C, Ctrl V and create Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl C and Ctrl V again. I did this because the amount of segment needed to create a single pleat is 3. So all of these 3 rectangles are going to create one single pleat, and all of them will be shown on to this piece of rectangle that's going to be part of the waistband. But I don't necessarily need these rectangles to be separated into 3 different pieces. So I am going to take my edit pattern tool and I am going to merge these lines together. So select both of them using the shift and right click and merge. Okay, again select these lines, right click, merge, and we also put the internal lines here. Okay, so these are going to be our pleats. So now the next step is to grab the pleats tool and start by clicking on the beginning of the rectangle to the very end and double click. I am going to choose the knife pleats for this dress and hit OK. And as you can already see, the internal lines are already colored correctly. Now before I simulate or do anything for that matter, I need to sew this pleats part on the waistband. But I can't use my free sewing tool or segment sewing tool because the pleats tool have the special kind of sewing, and you are going to be able to find it right next after the pleats tool, and it's called the pleats sewing tool. So going to the waistband and select the lines you want to be sewing, and then select the lines of pleats that you want to be sewing. And as you can see, the sewing is automatically established for every 3 segment. And before I start simulating, I am just gonna take my transform pattern tool and I am also going to freeze this pattern. So select the pattern, right click and freeze it. So let's see what is happening. Okay, so now if I zoom in, you will see better. You see that we get tiny pleats, Now I just made them short like this because of simulation time would be easier for us. Of course, now we can take the edit pattern tool, maybe prolong them a bit like this. So something like that, and let's simulate. And now we can see better that we actually implemented knife pleats, and now we can see better that we actually implemented knife pleats. So what we going to do now is basically the piece that we just created, we are going to copy and paste them. So go off simulation mode and position this part little closer to the waist. And what we are going to do now is just copy and paste this. Again, Ctrl C and Ctrl V and put it right next to the part we just created. And we are going to do this over and over until we go around to her waist, and she has these pleats all around her waist. So I am going to let you go do that your own, because it basically just a simple process. You just need to repeat this over and over again by copying and pasting and positioning the pleats around her waist in the 3D window. So I am just going to finish that, and in the next clip we will be continue with sewing these pieces together and simulating them.